Trump's gift to the world. Renewables as an economic and military priority. So all this terrible stuff that's been happening in the Straits of Hormuz for the last 4 months, no gas getting out, no et cetera, net getting out, fertilizer, has shown a lot of other countries, mostly in Europe, especially Africa and in Asia, hey, guess what? We need renewables because they are an economic priority. They are a military priority. And we need to go even further into renewables than we already have. And many of them are much further into renewables than is in the United States. Now, I'd like to point out that the United States has been moving towards renewables, but they haven't been moving nearly as fast as they should be moving towards it. And ever since this current president is in there, he has backed away from renewables, even to the point that he is paying companies to stop building wind farms that they have already started. I think one of them actually went to court and they can really finish theirs, but they're trying to get others and they're going to pay them to not build wind farms. All because a certain president got a little bit upset because there were wind farms outside his golf course in Scotland 10 or 15 years ago, and he really didn't like it. So it has no purpose whatsoever why we're doing this, except for the nuttiness of what this president is. But since the Straits of Hormuz have been closed, all other countries are saying, hey, this is not the way of our future. We cannot be dependent and reliant on the fact that a crazy American president can actually close the Straits of Hormuz and take us down. We cannot have that. We have to fight back. And the best way to fight back is to increase investment in renewables. Now, I want to point out that this right now is not necessarily a talking point for the Democrats in terms of the election coming up in 2026, even though I think that it should be. I think that it should be is that we can't rely on this president, that we need to make strong investments in renewables, and that we can lead the world in this category. We are dramatically behind. And even though affordability is the thing that everyone is kind of pushing around in terms of what Democrats should be doing for this election, I say, don't take that. Take both. We can do both. We can have affordability. We can invest in renewables, and just think of all the investments that we've made in renewables, and the fact that right now renewables are more than competitive with oil. In fact, it costs less to have a solar or wind farm in terms of the per kilowatt hour than to put up another, let's say, coal plant. So this is the wave of the future. And we're slow walked by this administration, and we have to look at our future, and we need to keep renewables at the front. Now, I want to point out again, there's a lot of things going on in this election that's coming up, and Democrats need to be on top of it, and they need to come right from the heart. And that is, we can invest in renewables. We need to look for affordability. We can invest in our children. We can invest in our seniors. We can invest in infrastructure. We can invest in education. All of these things can be done. But we need to get this president out of there. We need to get this Republican Party out of there. And we need to go back to putting the priorities to the average working American, and renewables is one of them, and we need to push this all the way through.